Night. Today we're One Mic Night talking. You know, we got a lot to talk about. I'm here with your favorite co-host, licensed clinical psychotherapist, and author of the book, The Mental Health Pandemic, which we might need right now. And we're going to be talking about the post-election here in the United States. Welcome in, Shane Mark Tull. How you doing, sir?
Hello, hello from the land of many waters, Guyana. We are
Yes,
here.
yes. Thank you for
Yes, it's
getting
very
on
hot,
here. We
but
appreciate
really,
it.
my heart is so much at home, and I'll be home soon.
Good.
So
I'm
we've
glad you're in
had
a
a
place
few
of
days,
peace.
right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're a few days out of the election here for the presidential race. Donald J. Trump came out the winner as the 47th president of the United States, once again as from the 45th president of the United States. And um, the race actually was a lot less close than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be a much closer race. The numbers proved that Kamala Harris pulled about 70.8 million, and Donald Trump 74 million. So that wasn't as close as I thought it would be. I thought we'd be in for it, a couple of days trying to figure out who was going to be the president and lawsuits and so forth.
Uh-huh.
But we really got taken for a ride here. What happened?
Boy, oh man, I'm still trying to recover. I am hard pressed to think that rational beings, people like you and I that knows right from wrong, and especially women, would give up the agency of their own bodies
Yes.
to a man that is cruel, misogynistic, racist, everything that is, who represents the worst common denominator of our society. And the fact that these women voted for him to because of the economy, because the economy is really not suffering. I agree, eggs are more expensive than they were 4 years ago. Yeah, I agree. I agree. People are feeling it in their pocketbooks. But I just thought that we would look at it in a bigger space in terms of if this is democracy as well. This is decency. This is, we tell our kids not to lie, not to cheat, not to bully, not to do bad things. And yet we go and elect someone that is the epitome of those things. So what message are we sending? And this election, the results of this election is not um, a testimony to Donald Trump's character. It's really an assault on ours. This is really about our character.
Our own character.
Those, our own character. There's
Absolutely.
74 million people that voted for him.
Absolutely.
What do you tell your kids?
Right. How do we get to a point? I mean, is this where the American value system is? Is this what Americans are? Is it truly what this place is now? And I think, this may be the answer. Are we reverting back to a place in time where, people, they don't care that you have a police record? Felon. They don't care that you say whatever you want to, whenever you want to, however you want to. They don't care that, the scope of the United States in the eyes of other people seem a certain way, or that this is the same man who pulled out of NATO when he was president, where the United States had no backup in if something happened. Are we at that point in our lives where we just don't care anymore?
I think we fall into this tribalism where for me to do good, my neighbor has to do bad. And I think that really should scare us because the message that we're sending to our children is unbelievable. It's like, you don't have to be a good citizen. You don't have to be a good person. You can be as lawless and reckless as you want to be. And with those attributes, you will be promoted, you will be exalted, and people see that as a strength.
Right. Where do you think the Democrats went wrong in this race? Where do you think, or did they go wrong?
I think the Democrats ran a flawless campaign. I think Kamala Harris, she had 107 days, and she took that and made magic. Okay, she not did, they said if they give you lemon, make lemonade. She made lemonade, and then she made it into champagne in that 107 days. Her campaign was flawless.
Right.
I think that, and what I'm happy about that, it dispelled the myth also that black men were not going to vote for her. 77% of black men did.
Hmm.
So I thought that was very telling.
Is that a less
Definitely,
number than previous? Is that less number than Biden? Yeah, I would think
I
so.
think it was like a 4 to 5 point
Hmm.
difference than,
Yeah,
than
for
Biden.
sure.
But I really think she ran a great campaign. She spoke to everybody. She spoke with everybody. I think her message was uniting, and it was about inclusion. But what I think probably the campaign did, it didn't tap into where those spaces where younger people are getting their information, and they're getting the information from people like Joe Rogan or Jeff Rogan, whatever his name is,
Joe Rogan, yes.
and
Hmm.
and he has a overwhelming amount of followers. Yeah, and people think it's young white men. I think it's young men, it's young black and brown men that are listening to that. And I think we didn't go into those spaces where into that manosphere where men are talking. Because I don't know if you noticed during the football games and the basketball games, they had this anti-trans ad that they were playing in the
Right. Yes.
commercials.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
and you know how many most of the people that look at that are men.
Right.
Most of the men in the South are very conservative. Most black men are very conservative. And this ad was really saying you will send your son to school as a boy, and while in school he could be a girl and then come back home as a boy. Now you know how black men feel about their sons.
Right. That's
So
been a
even if
popular conversation for a while now.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. So even if they think they weren't paying attention to that was unconsciously seeping into their psyche, and that informs how they vote. I think one of the things that Elon Musk has done, he really created like an algorithm that will focus at that demographic in a way that is not threatening to them, but it's in a way that's very insidious because you're being really indoctrinated into something that one you don't have a whole lot of information on, but the way it's presented, it's scary enough to say I'm voting against this because I don't want my child to go to school and come back home a girl.
Absolutely. I think social media has a lot to do with it. I think that, the number of people that are on Twitter now, which Elon Musk controls, he actually changed the algorithm. So the people who weren't even following him were still getting his information,
Correct.
about 1,000 times more than they normally would. So the
They were getting
feed,
his disinformation.
his disinformation, correct. So the feed, the algorithm was feeding you information that you didn't necessarily want to know, which was not exactly the truth or a
Right.
slight portion of the truth or whatever it may be.
And and do we also have to wonder if the lie becomes the truth if the masses agree with it?
Yes. And if it's said so many times.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So he was able to tap in to the testosterone, to that emotional testosterone of man through those ads as they look at a sport, which is basically men. It's very testosterone driven. So I think that's very clever.
Absolutely. And being one of the richest men in the world, of course, people want to be like him. They want to
Definitely
be like him. So whatever he believes, this is where the influencing comes in.
correct.
These men want to be like him. They want to be the richest men in the world. They want to own companies,
Mhm.
and emulate what he's doing. So you have
Yeah.
two of these men together, it's unstoppable. I also think that one place that maybe the Democratic Party fell short on was, when Kamala was at a conference and they were asking her what difference would she do with the Border Patrol. That's a huge issue right now. Instead of, like we talked about in the last episode we did, she was being respectful to her position and being respectful to what Joe Biden was doing. However,
Mhm.
she wasn't able to say exactly what she would probably want to do in the upcoming, years. I think she should have said, I want to shut it down. Let's shut down the border. Let's take care of it, because that was an important part of what this election was about. The economy was one, and the immigration and border was the second. And I
And
think a
she could.
lot. Mhm.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think a lot of people, wanted to hear that. They need to hear that. That's a big concern of people in the country right now. I know along the bordering states there, they lost a lot of votes because those people, which would normally be the Democratic votes, they became Republican votes this time because they want the
Mhm.
border shut down and controlled in a way that you know, regulates. That's the big word. We're not saying we can't have immigrants here. We're saying it needs to be regulated in a way where they can, we can find out, do the background, find out who people are coming into this country.
Correct.
You know,
There was a bill to address all of that, and Trump tanked it. So because he knew it was, it would have served in his benefit to use it as the wedge campaign issue.
yes,
So what I really don't want to happen, and I think it will, is that immigrants be, become villains and we vilify the trans community. Because a Democratic guy, I think he's from Massachusetts, a congressman came out saying, it was the trans issue that turned a lot of people off. That's why the Democrats didn't win. And I don't want to think that was it, but I don't want moving forward that demographic becomes targeted.
right,
And it just showed up in the data of that from Tuesday to now, the calls to suicide at hotlines within the LGBT community skyrocketed. And this is
absolutely.
not even, and this is not even a full week. Yeah.
Right. Trans and African Americans too, because they were receiving text messages. We were
Yes,
receiving
they did.
text
Yes,
messages
yes,
right
yes.
afterwards. And whether it
Yep.
was someone who was here domestically or whether it was someone here, internationally, overseas, what is happening is that we're being pitted against each others as American. How do we unify this? This is the whole problem. I got a
Yeah.
couple things. Like, listen, I got questions because how do we unify this country? How do we move forward? That's the biggest thing. Is this man day one going to do the things that he said he's going to do? Is he going to build the wall? How is he going to get the money? Where's the deficit? How's this, all these things all these questions we have.
And deporting 10 million people at minimum is enough to stifle this economy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can't
It
happen.
will throw us into a complete depression. Um, the amount of money we will use just trying to extradite all of these people, and what happens if these countries don't want to take them back?
Right.
Where are they going to go, and how do we negotiate that? And all these things that's going to go into it. In the meantime, our economy is going to plummet. And whenever there are rough economic times, racism, the other isms are attacked, and that's escalated. And that is so, which means we're going to be in a really bad place. So, to your point, all the groups that are affected, how do we galvanize and activate a commodity of support for each other while literally we are going to be the ones that are the guardrail for democracy? Because Trump already has no guardrails. The Supreme Court has codified him on those things. So who's going to take care of the democracy. So I
Right.
think we need
who's gonna hold it
to
accountable? Yeah, of course.
who's gonna and not only accountable, who's gonna fight?
Fight.
Because they're gonna have to be court cases and all this other stuff. But
And
I want
and see, that's a whole nother monster because we know how long
yes,
litigation takes in this country as well when it
thank
comes
you,
to things like that.
thank
Look at
you.
what's happening with him. He's been
Yeah,
in litigation for the last 2, 3 years and
yeah.
nothing's
And Jack
happened,
Smith
pretty much.
and Jack Smith's case is gonna shut down. But what I'm hoping that Jack Smith publishes his findings before inauguration. I really hope he has all this material ready. And since the Supreme Court don't want to hear it, they're going to try to toss it. Say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to release everything to the public, and you guys decide if the guy you pick is appropriate for
I
this
really
office.
don't think that America cares. I mean, the facts are
I
all
and that's the
there.
other
That's
and
the
that's the
problem.
other thing.
I mean,
Yeah,
some do, but I think the majority of people do not. And, alongside with what he's been saying all along is that he's been weaponized. They're weaponizing
right. Election
this against
interference.
me. And,
Mhm.
there's a whole psychology that this man is using, but the people
Already.
are not
Yeah.
looking at the facts. They're not really listening to what he's actually planning on doing. People's parents, people's families will be broken up. Even if he takes 1 million,
Lots.
1 million immigrants, people's families will be broken up. I'm all for, taking out bad people in this country. I'm
Of
all
course,
for that.
definitely,
But how are you going to
definitely.
do it? How are you going to decide who goes and who stays?
Right, and it's going to affect people like that look like you and I more than anyone else. So I think how how are you going to do that fairly in a way that doesn't disrupt family life? And there's no way around this that will not disrupt family life, community life, and our economy. Because you send say you send them 20 million people. Um, do you have people here that wants those jobs and they're willing to do those jobs?
Right.
Because that's always been the issue.
We spoke about this before. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who's going to do
Those
those jobs?
those farmers in California that need that migrant community that comes in and pick grapes and do all the stuff that needs to be done. Americans are not taking those jobs. They don't want those jobs. Those are the people. And I think these those immigrants saved this country during the pandemic. They
Without a doubt.
showed up, they worked hard, they exposed themselves, they literally saved this country. And I think we're willing to throw them out because now we don't need them.
Disposable.
Yeah. And that's Trump. He's negotiable and everyone is disposable. I think that put in the one of the world's most powerful man and the world's richest man together is a recipe for disaster. But I
Absolutely.
can assure you, before inauguration, they're gonna fall out because Trump don't want anyone getting more media attention than him or
Absolutely.
getting more attention than him. So this is going to be short lived because Trump always wanted to be the main center of attention. And I think one of the things about Elon Musk, I think the way he dressed, the way he purports himself, he's not just this regular guy. So it communicates to all these, especially young white men, I can do this. I can be like this guy. He looks like me. He dresses like me. I can sit and have a beer with him.
Right.
And remember, that was one of the reasons George Bush won back in I think it's 2004, because the regular guy said, he seems like a guy I can stop and have a beer with.
Yep. The relatable. Relatable.
Relatable,
And which is
relatable.
why I thought, the Harris Waltz team had a fair chance because we knew Waltz was a relatable guy. He's just the
Yes.
guy next door, the coach, shops at wherever down the street, Home Depot, you
Yeah.
know,
How more normal and American can you be?
right.
Yeah. But I guess, what struck me more so were the women's vote. I really thought that they would come out on reproductive rights, and it went the other way. And I'm really struggling with that. That For the last 2 years, that's all we've been talking about.
Right.
They know that women are dying and have died and are suffering and got infected and are unable to have children now and all that stuff.
I really
And
feel like
it's
at this point in time, though, if you were to make a list of things, that probably wouldn't be the number one thing. And obviously, as we
clearly
see,
not.
we
Clearly
see it's
not.
not.
Yeah.
Women don't care about that. We're talking about the people who voted on his side. They don't care. They really don't care.
And these are suburban white women who believes that if she gets in, their husband taxes are going to raise. They will have money for less vacation and less shopping.
Right.
And I think that's what it came down to. My family's going to have less if she gets in there. So let me stay with the guy that promised me more and I'll get more. And he's not as bad as they're saying. He cannot be bad. It's not possible that he's going to have a national ban on abortion. They're in for a rude awakening.
They are. They really are. What do we do in the meantime? A lot of us are struggling. A lot of people are
Yeah,
struggling. A lot of people. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, please write down in the comments. Make sure you write down in the comments where you think we are, in terms of the
yeah,
country and how do we move forward? How do we continue on both
correct.
sides?
But yes. I think first of all, we need to take a deep breath. You need to take a deep individual breath, a deep collective breath. We need to pay attention to our emotions, that what we're feeling is real, it's valid. The fact that some of us are scared and some of us are very scared, those things are valid as well. But we also need to self care just for the next few days because we have to rejuvenate ourselves. Like go to a spa, get a massage, take a walk in the park, sit by a beach, go to the park, buy some ice cream, just do something, get some comfort food, whatever you know you need to do to take care of yourself. Just do that for 2 days and re-energize and come back with a sense of purpose, knowing that your most powerful thing in this country is your vote.
Absolutely. Absolutely
And
right.
that still matters.
Yes.
That still matters. And let's build coalitions. Let's not see our neighbors as our enemy. And we don't have to agree on everything, but there have to be things that make us have more things in common than they do that separate us. And let's find the things that unites us, find those spaces that are inclusive. If not, let's create those spaces that are inclusive. And
Absolutely.
I
You took the
think if
words
we're
right out of my
able
mouth. Hmm.
to do that and build a grassroots coalition where we have to be out there every weekend marching, protesting, doing podcasts, interviewing people, engaging people,
Absolutely.
going to the bars, going to the wherever they are. That's where we need to go. Go to the clubs and engage people in civic behavior, in voting, in understanding the power of their vote, and understanding that if you want these clubs and these things to stay open, you have to patronize them. If you want good stuff in your community, you got to shop local. And let's be fair, you got to buy black. I'm sorry, because if we
Absolutely.
don't do that,
You know,
those vendors out there, they're not going to survive.
you're absolutely right. It's putting your dollars where they work for you and the things that you
Thank you.
support, supporting and
Thank you.
creating communities that support us and our own values as well. And as we know, a
Yeah,
lot of these companies that were out there, they did not give dollars to the campaign that won.
nothing.
They did
They
not.
didn't give
We
nothing.
still can
And
support those institutions. We can create our
that's
own
right.
institutions, and letting our voices be heard is important. It's valid. It's valuable.
And those companies that made pledges after George Floyd, after with the I Can't Breathe campaign, the major companies that come out with statements and diversity and all that stuff, that we hold them accountable.
Yes,
That and we stop buying. We need to use our economic power.
absolutely.
We need to stop buying sneakers for $200 that goes into the pocket of people that don't care about us.
Yeah,
Okay, We
Yes.
need to start making our own sneakers and fashioning them out there and encouraging young Black men. This is what you should be buying, and not some Jordans that's made in China for $5. You sell, and I think if you are able to use your capital as your political power, you have a lot of power. Because if you know where you're spending your money, and you let them know I'm spending my money here, and this is what I expect, that is important. We need to do that. We need to lift each other up. We need to support each other. We may need to call somebody out, but it doesn't mean that we got to call them out to social media. You can have
Absolutely.
a side conversation with them alike.
Hmm.
We don't have to have a public battle in everything. And I've been very careful what I say and what I put out on social media, because I
I,
realize that we have a following. People are listening. So I want to be very clear. Like I got some people send me some videos about, ballots being stolen and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I'm not going to talk about stuff like that
right. That's the
because,
other thing. It's making
yeah,
intelligent choices and informing yourself about, the information that you're getting. Some of it's true, some of it's not. Some of it you have to make your own decisions about. We've said this
definitely.
before. You have to
Yes.
find the sources of where this information is
Veterans,
coming
yes.
from
Yeah. Yeah.
and educate yourself. And I feel like that's also part of the problem of what happened now. A lot of people either one, didn't care about this election, and two, they weren't educated enough about what was actually happening, the
They
candidates
really were. They
for
really
this.
were. Yeah.
So I think that, the education part of it is the most important thing. You have to educate yourself on the points so that you can make a good decision.
Yeah. And we have to stop beating up on each other because we didn't win. Okay, she ran a perfect campaign. She raised over $1 million. She hit all the markets. She was out there. Just more people decided that's not what they wanted, and we have to call it out for what it is. It's racist. It's sexist, and we have to acknowledge the fact that innately, as men, we may be
Absolutely.
biased.
And listen, you could trust me, you could be black and sexist too. So, we're
Well, we
speaking
find out you
to,
can also
yeah,
be black and racist.
black and
Okay,
racist.
so,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, yeah.
That's true too.
So it's
So,
yeah, but I just want us to continue having civil dialogues and not to see our neighbor as our enemy, or the fact that someone doesn't vote our way or doesn't support trans rights as an enemy. We all have to come together and work to maintain this democracy, because it's at stake, it's at risk, and we are going to have rough days ahead. And people have been out there saying, oh, God is in charge and all is well, and it's going to work out, and we got to trust God. Yes, we have to trust God, but we got to do the work.
we do have to do the work.
Because maybe this is God telling us, y'all have been lazy and dormant. So let me put something in space. Let me see if you guys can rise to the occasion and demand democracy. And I was the first person to listen. I'm a child of God. I'm a little mad at God right now, but He's God. He understands. And I'm gonna work it out with Him, but I'm gonna also ask Him for grace, for gratitude. Thank Him for gratitude, and to use me as an instrument to heal this world. Because, my friend, not only people in America are affected by this, people all
Absolutely.
over the world
All over the
are
world.
affected by this.
And the other thing too, I
Or
want to add before we go is I want to say that we also have to be open for change. The world is ever changing. And how do
Mhm.
we have to figure out how we can fit in to this ever changing world. Some of the things that, in the future may change may actually benefit us. Some may not, but we have to figure out how we're going to continue on in this world, at a pace that we can manage and live and be okay.
I think we are going to be okay if
We are going to
we
be okay.
continue to be vigilant and supportive and uplifting. And there is, I like Martin Luther King says, I'm going to always choose light and forgiveness and all that good stuff, because I'm going to choose love, because hate is too much of a burden to
Too
carry.
much of a
And
burden.
darkness is not a place where I want to be, and light is the only thing that eliminates darkness. So let us be the light.
Let us be the
Let
light.
us be the light that convicts, that have conviction, and bring humanity together. And I know it probably sounds Pollyanna, but brother, that's all I got. Okay, so I'm
That's
working.
it.
That's it. We got to make this happen.
Making
We
it
got to
happen.
hug it out. We got to just be kind to each other. Say hi to the next black man you see, and stop acting like you're invisible, and just say, brother, I see you because you're a human being.
Right.
And that's just good enough. Yeah.
There you go. And I think we should leave them on that. Please,
Yes.
everybody, thank you for joining us for OneMicNite Talk. Make sure you comment down below. Let us know what you think about this election, what you think is coming up, and how you're going to make this part of your world and make yourself successful in this world, because we all have to do it. We all have each other, and it's important for us to survive. I want to thank you, Shane Mark Tull, author of the book, The Mental Health Pandemic. Make sure you pick that copy up right now.
Yes.
You can find it on Amazon.
We need it. We really need that now.
We really need it now. I'm going to tell you right now, it's on Amazon.
Yes. Yes.
You can find him on social media at Shane Mark Tull, licensed clinical psychotherapist. Thank you for OneMicNite Talk, and thank you everyone for joining in and listening. We'll see you next time. I'm Marcos Luis, MarcosLuis. Follow the show on all social media and streaming outlets at OneMicNite, OneMicNite. Stay safe, and as Shane Mark Tull says, be gentle
Gentle to yourself.
to yourself.
All right.
There you go. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.